Hi students and welcome back to Transformation. So here we will be focusing on transforming an image, and transformation is simply stretching something out, making it align with a perspective, flipping it, rotating it. So at this point, I can guarantee you've done it, but likely not intentionally. You've probably clicked on an image and it did something like this. It gave you these little grab bars. So that's actually a transformation, okay? Remember how an adjustment was changing the image itself, the color, some sort of aspect with the tonality, the shades, midtones, highlights, etc. Well, transformations are more of the actual physical act of stretching something. So that is a transformation. Just simply that or rotating. Another shortcut for that is Command T or Control T, depending on your system. And you can see here I already have that activated. So a few things I want to show you here is that there is a good panel up here. So if I go up to Edit, Transform, you can see here I was just in Free Transform, which is Command T, but underneath Transform, I get a little more in my tool belt. So I can rotate it 180 degrees, I can flip it horizontally, I can do quite a bit. So let's go back and let's just look at that again and go over it. So I can scale, which is simply this right here. And if I hit shift, look what happens. Okay, never hit shift. We don't want that to happen because then we end up, I think, don't make fun of me if I don't get this right, but I think this is Statue of David, his head or something, or I don't know. I'm not an art historian. But let's not hit shift because then our people start to end up looking like little tiny stretched out faces. So make sure to not do that. And a few other things that we have going on here underneath transform is I have rotate, which is self-explanatory, skew. So skew and distort are pretty similar. I want you to play around and find out what works for you, okay? You will find out you have preferences in tools. I actually use both interchangeably. I really don't have a preference. I do whatever works best for me. All right, so under Edit, Transform, so make sure that layer is selected. Under Edit, Transform, I have a few others. So Distort right here. This is where it's very similar to Skew, but it gives you a little more freedom in how that works. Okay. And then again, under Edit, Transform, I have Perspective. And Perspective is just a more dialed in version of Distort. You see how it gives you a little more advice, I'll call it, when you're tinkering with things. Okay, and then let's go into one that's super fun. We'll use this when we start to develop shadows, but under Transform, I can go into Warp, just like this. You can see I can have some fun here. And if you think about it, imagine you have some cool text that you made, you can warp it. You can give it a cool, almost retro vibe to it. And this is something you can even hit these little anchor points here and get it even closer to how you want it. So that is a very brief introduction to transformations. And there's one thing I want to show you. So do you remember how in this class we're always constantly thinking about pixel preservation? Whether it's a masking, we mask because it preserves pixels, it doesn't destroy anything. If I delete this mask, guess what? My background's still there. So same thing goes for transformations. Adjustments we don't care about because we can just turn those off. But what you can do, it's not necessarily totally required in my class, but I want you to know about it because people are constantly mystified by what are called smart objects. And it's, think of a smart object almost like a safety net. So if I right click here, so right click on the actual text right there. So if I right click on that, I can create convert to smart object and I will get a little logo there, okay? And what that will do is I can double click that and I can open it up in a new window. And that preserves the original state of the image. I don't want you to worry about it too much, but keep in mind, if I end up making a really odd transformation here, that I won't be able to get that back if I save my file and I'm not able to Command or Control Z, which is undo. So keep that in mind, that smart objects are there as a safety net that help us just in case something goes wrong, particularly for transformations. There's other things too, but for all you need to know currently is that it's helpful for transformations. And then one thing I will show you in our next video on the assignment debrief is how to apply perspective lines so you can give yourself almost a grid. Okay, that will do it, and I will see you in the assignment breakdown next. Thanks.